One. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday show.
Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend, and tell a friend. If you're on YouTube, hype us up. Again, I don't know what that does, but you know, do it anyway. Um, if you want to buy us a coffee or if you want to get some merch, those things are in the comments. So please do that as well. Tanya, how are you?
I'm doing well. The Bay Area has had a lot to we concerned ourselves with the threat of our federal government coming in to cause shenanigans. And so a lot of the activist community has been mobilizing and organizing and just being concerned about it. But so far, it looks like they've left after a couple days, and so, but we're still just kind of trying to get ready for the
High
shenanigans.
alert.
High alert. In the meantime, it this weekend has been a little cold, a little rainy, so I have buckled down and decided to stay in. I binge watched Wednesday finally. It
Okay.
was it was amazing. And crocheted.
Nice.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I finally got back to Oakland. Um, I was sick all week, so I was gonna fly back in on Monday. That was my original flight, and I could feel myself getting like sick. I was like mildly congested. I was like, okay, this is enough. Because like if you've ever flown with like congestion, you know that that is not
the
the thing.
worst.
Do not ever do it.
It's the
And so I was like,
worst.
okay, cool. I'm gonna just get there. So Monday, I was supposed to fly because it was Wisconsin, so I was supposed to go Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Bay, because I fly Delta. So got canceled, got pushed back. They're like, we can't get you out of here till tomorrow.
Oh
I was like,
no.
okay. Went to sleep, woke up. I mean, sick, sick, no voice, like clogged. I was like, I can't do it. So I slept all day Tuesday and Wednesday, and I was like, okay, Thursday, I'm enough that I can go. Thursday, so I got canceled again.
Ah,
Friday, Friday, it's like Friday evening. I get to the airport, go through all the things, and on the plane, the lights go off on the plane. At the same time the lights go off, like the casing of the window like falls in my lap. I was
wait a minute.
like,
The inside of the window
yeah, like the window's
or
still there, but you know, like how they like the little thing you should the
okay.
shade and all that
The shade, the window.
falls. I said, get me off this Final Destination flight. Like we're on there. And they like people we have to pull out our flashlights. They asked us to pull out our flashlights on our phone to get some light
On Delta?
on Delta.
On
Them regional
Delta.
planes ain't nothing to be played with.
Okay.
So yeah, we sat on the flight. They were like, we're gonna go to fix things. And I was like, but after an hour, they're like, we can't fix it. So like they're like, you can get out, get in line. So I'm in line, but I also have the app. So I just like, rebook and it was like super out of the way. So I went from Milwaukee the next day. I went from Milwaukee to Atlanta. I had like a 2.5 hour layover in Atlanta, and then I finally got back to San Francisco. So that's been my travel. That's been what I've been up to. And I'm thankful I have a voice because I had not had a voice. I was on the plane, masked up, and I was hacking. And I was like, ooh, I know good and well if I was like looking at someone who was coughing like me, I would be mad that you were on the plane. So
You'll be fuming in your head.
I'd be like, why don't you get your sick ass on this plane?
Right.
But It was
Oh
me.
man.
I was the sicko on the plane, but I was masked, double masked actually,
Uh-huh.
and hand sanitizer everywhere. So
Okay.
that's been my week. And and also in the little bit of time that I was woke was also talking to people about the feds coming into our city and also what we're gonna do about people who are hungry if they don't get their food stamps. So
Yeah.
if you
So
can afford it and you are in a place where people are doing food banks, things like that, please consider giving because it is sad out here and we are all we've got.
yeah. Ugh.
As I laugh about how when we first started this podcast, we're like, we're not gonna really get political. Like
We
2, 3 years
always get
ago, we were
political.
like, we're not gonna get political. It's all good. We're like, please,
I think it's sad because we're at a place in the country where we can't afford not to be political.
period. Period.
So,
Well,
um,
we will cut off our political brains for a little bit of GH. Um, who was your performer of the week?
oh man, there are several. There's just so like I feel
The
like
performances are happening. They are very good.
I feel like even though we know that GH and other soaps they record way ahead of time, but it's almost I feel like after GH had a whole bunch of Emmy wins, they decided to just step up their game this week. But I know that's
Hmm.
just the timing, but it just feels like it. Like everybody was doing a great job performance wise. But obviously want to highlight some of the great ones. For me, my top two were Erica Slezak and Jane Elliott.
Absolutely.
Um, when when I guess they were in at the tea party and Erica Slezak, was drunk or angry and responded and just went off on Tracy. I mean, it was masterful and was awesome. And then, Jane Elliott, her response, just since the Death of Monica has just been on point. So, I mean, those were my top two, but at the same time, I also want to give a mention to Amanda Sett and Rena Sofer. I think these
Hmm.
were our last scenes with Rena Sofer for, the time being, and they were beautiful. I mean, that mother-daughter dynamic is hitting. So for me, I cried tears.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. But shout out to, also Asher Antonson and I want to say the the actress that plays Jacinda, Paige Herschel,
Oh,
for
yeah.
they
Yeah.
were standing up to Drew, and I was like, yes, for
Hmm.
both of them. And then final, shout out to Jeannie Francis and her eyebrow who came correct on
Yes, you did.
Friday. So, but there was multiple great performances. I saw, some people on social media were just like really were mesmerized by Rory Gibson, his portrayal of Michael. Some people also were like giving shout outs to Laura Wright, Carly, and having her
Hmm.
visit to fake prison. It was just there was a lot going on, and it was all great. Oh, and um, Cynthia Wattrow saying Kate McMullen, just like just great scenes all together. It was masterful. It was a great week.
Yeah. An embarrassment of
Oh,
riches.
right.
Um, the actresses, have just been so top notch. I have
Mhm.
had I want to be really clear. I'm still very much enjoying the show. I said this before. I think there's like some little cracks that we'll kind of like talk about, like things like that. But overall, like the performances have been knocking it out of the park, and I believe that. Erica Slezak and Jen Elliott had the performance of the week. It was just like the two of them. But
Mhm.
as you said, like any of these other performances without those two could have been the performance of the week. Amanda
Mhm.
and Rena, I am so impressed by them as mother and daughter.
Hmm.
You would think they had been mother and daughter playing these characters forever. Um, they both are the kind of actresses who put their heart into the work. Amanda, like I've always loved that about her. So I really have enjoyed that. Our little J Sam baby, Asher, just stepping it up. I was like, I know that's right.
Yeah.
Um, I want to get into like Paige when we talk about that piece, but yes, absolutely. I mean, it is not easy to come in that role, and she could
Hmm.
be a character that we would be like, I don't want to see her, and I want to see her every time she's on. Um,
Hmm.
she is she has really, really, really been impressive. The fact that people are shipping her with Michael, um, is a testament to the work that she and Rory are putting in. So yeah, definitely
Hmm.
shout out to Paige. She's been amazing in the role. So yeah, great performances all around, as you said.
Yeah.
Love, 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 love.
Love it.
So I told you I felt inspired when we first got on. If you remember back in the day, the AITA, the Am I the Assholes that I used to do at the top of every
Oh
like
yeah.
recap.
I
Um,
remember
so I
now.
felt inspired to bring it back for this week. We'll see how inspired I am every week. But here we go. Okay. I was divorced a few years ago, but I've stayed in good relationship with him and his family. He was remarried and I began dating as well, but somehow we continue gravitating back towards each other. Because we have a high level of comfort and trust, we confided in each other. And when he started having trouble with his new wife, he naturally told me all about it. Our marriage fell apart over dishonesty, and he is seeing that his current wife is more dishonest than I ever was. I do have feelings for him again, but I have mixed feelings about him in the second marriage ending.
I
Who
was just
knows?
like,
Who knows what this would mean for us? Well, here's the next hiccup. I heavily suspect that his soon-to-be ex-wife is pregnant and that she hasn't told him yet. I confronted her about it, but would you believe she told me to mind my own damn business? Now, am I the asshole for confronting her, or am I being a good person and protecting my ex?
asshole. You know what? So when you first started talking about my friend and we were married and then we both got remarried and all this, I was just like, is this Chase? I was like, and then I was like, no. And then and then you just kept talking, and then I was like, yes, girl, yes, you are the
Chase.
asshole.
Yeah,
That was funny.
yeah. This week, Miss Jordan girl, come to the front. Matter of fact, we gonna sit you off to the side for a second. But we need you to know, Miss Jordan, you gonna come to the front.
Right.
Sit off to the side. Let us start with Ronnie's tea party and the fallout.
Oh,
So we have obviously Brooklyn said she was going to do this tea party for Ronnie to make her feel comfortable. Now, Michael told her last week, "M- Ronnie seems more like a beer kind of girl, but Brooklyn wanted to do it. And we have like the ladies of the town. Now, I like scenes like this where everybody's mixing it up. We had Lucy, we had Felicia, Stella, love the Stella Tracy friendship. We had all of these people kind of mixing it up there, and Ronnie felt like out
Olivia.
of place.
Hmm.
Um, and then it took a turn, and Ronnie turned up.
He sure did. Oh,
So
like,
before we knew, okay, so initially the assumption was that Ronnie was drunk. And that was like our assumption as the audience, all of that. How did you feel about Ronnie being presumably drunk at the time at the tea party?
first of all, everyone was saying it was given one of Victoria Lord's
Nikki
altars.
Smith? Yeah.
Okay, so the character that Erica Slezak played on What Life to Live, Victoria Lord, had multiple personalities, and one
Hmm.
of them was constantly drunk and hungover and just bad mouthing everybody. So I was just like, oh, Mickey Smith. And so it was funny. Then I started thinking because she came out of it so quickly that it made me think, maybe she's not drunk and maybe she kind of put on an act because
Oh,
no one could actually pinpoint. Well, as I'm like rethinking about it in my mind, I can't actually pinpoint when one either she went into the kitchen, she didn't never went to the kitchen to get add a little something something to her tea. Two, we never saw anybody next to her teacup, but we just knew that just because they focused on the teacup and she was drinking it, the assumption is that something was in that teacup, but we never saw anything like that happen. And then because she came out of it, so like she became, lucid so quickly during the argument with Tracy, it made me think that she put on an act. And so then
mm,
it's like, okay, something is up, but I just put that to the side because she was so funny and so on point with her drunkenness. I mean, she sits down on the couch and takes her shoes off, put her feet on the table. She starts talking smack to Tracy, telling Tracy basically you just need to get laid and sit down and shut up and all this other stuff.
and you should
And
hire
so
somebody to
you
handle
should
that for
hire
you.
somebody to handle that for you. She was like giving Tracy 100%, and that was funny. And so so I was just paying attention to the shenanigans, but in my mind, um, I'm thinking that Ronnie is playing some sort of game. Don't know what the details are, but I think there's just something a little bit off because I do believe that Tracy is telling the truth that she did not drug Ronnie,
Yeah,
but I
I
don't
don't.
know who.
I don't think that Tracy drugged Ronnie. I also think it was just a lack of consistency for the show. I think somebody probably did do something
Mm.
to her. Because the show had a couple moments this week of like lack of consistency. So
Oh yeah.
I think that that's what it was, opposed to like her putting on.
Hmm.
My assumption, so Lulu was at court. She ran into Martin. So Martin has been so like happy about the fact that like, Ronnie has this house and like told Drew about it, all of these things. So to me, it really just shows that Martin had something to do with this. Um,
Oh
and it
yeah.
also makes me kind of feel like Ronnie isn't necessarily in on it with Martin in this way.
Mm.
Because for me, I think that Martin wouldn't want to drug her, which is what I think happened. Maybe he thought he was giving it to Tracy, whatever. But I don't think Martin would want to drug Ronnie because if he wouldn't want her to let things slip. But it was weird. Like they acted like they didn't know each other, but Martin has been calling her. So
Right.
she knew who he was. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know, I could be very wrong. My assumption or what I'm rocking with is that I think Ronnie is like a little shady, but doesn't know exactly how shady things are. And I appreciate Tracy when Tracy, I mean, there's something about the way Jane Elliott plays Tracy that makes you forgive a little bit of the snobbishness. Because I typically hate snob
Hmm.
characters, but there's also a vulnerability that she has as Tracy. So she was like, when she kind of was like getting choked up about Monica not being cruel and this being like a
Hmm.
cruel thing to do, to
Hmm.
me, it really cemented for me that like Martin messed with this will.
Hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. I felt like this was exactly what Martin wanted to happen. He wanted to hurt Tracy in a
Hmm.
way that he has not been able to do it. And he achieved that by changing the will in some sort of way so that Tracy only got a jar of pickle Lila relish. Like, I
Hmm.
agree. I agree. Monica would not have been that cruel. And that really hurt Tracy a lot. Now, yeah, I think he may have also had something to do with the Ronnie getting the mansion. But the question is how in cahoots or
It's
if they
Ronnie.
are in or if they are in cahoots at all, is Ronnie and Martin. So we don't
Yeah,
know, and we gotta find out. We gotta stay tuned. But
yeah.
yeah.
I also think that we're gonna find out that the reason that Martin knows about Pickle Lila is because of Lucy. Not on some like
Mm,
for the purpose of like doing something to but like just Lucy is a historian
yeah, and
and
she
knows
might have,
everything about the town. Yeah, and told him,
yeah,
at,
like one of their bedroom chit
yeah,
chats, pillow talk. She probably told the story about Pickle Lila,
yeah.
and
That's
he
how I think he
remembered.
knew. He remembered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. Um, I was really put off by Brooklyn and Olivia. Um,
Mhm.
I I want to talk about them separately, but here's what I'll say. I can understand the original thought process that Tracy may have done it, right? When um, Olivia brought up her drugging Trace Alexis, which Olivia, she also did that misguidingly for you because she preferred you
Mhm.
as dead. But
Mhm.
she brought that up, so I can see why you might initially think that. But them acting so desperate to live in this house and like they could not back Tracy up was very, I don't know, particularly on Brooklyn's part. How did you feel about them not backing her up? Because I wanted to get more into Brooklyn, but how did you feel initially about them not backing Tracy up?
I actually am in agreement with Tara from Fort Misery. I think the last recording that she did, she was astonished that the whole Quartermain family did not question the will.
Yeah,
Because that is crazy. Some person just coming in off the street saying that she's Monica's sister is automatically going to get a huge mansion. And none of them are questioning it. None of them
right,
are like, are saying, you know what? Seems like Monica changed her will last minute. Let's talk with this new lawyer she worked with. Let's figure it out before we actually just take it and accept it. And
right.
that's what it's like really crazy to me. And so, yes, I do agree as well. Olivia and
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn just automatically believing that Tracy did something bad. On the one hand, yes, Tracy has done it before, but not like to some random stranger. I think them automatically assuming Tracy being wrong is wrong. And I'm not surprised that Tracy was super hurt by Brooklyn in particular. I
Right.
don't know how if she cares about Olivia one way or the other, but but yeah, just yeah, having Brooklyn and at the very least taking Ronnie's side, it was just probably really hurtful to her.
It again, like I think Tracy being Tracy, I would not have been set per se if they would have believed it at the onset. Because it is
Mhm.
something that Tracy would and could do, right? Like,
Mm,
but once she was like, I did not do this, I believed her.
yeah.
And the fact that Olivia was also like, well, we don't know for sure. Like that's something they could have said. I understand, tempers need to cool down. Go stay at the Metro Court. We'll handle this. But Olivia goes, I don't even want you at the Metro Court.
Yeah, that was a
That
lot.
was without
I
any
was like,
proof. We don't have, I mean, Bonnie is supposedly drugged. I don't know if this is like to your point, maybe shady, or
mhm.
if it's whatever, but you telling me you think you was drugged, you're not gonna go to the hospital and get checked out, you're not gonna get no blood test run, you're not gonna get
Right,
nothing done. You're
right.
just I was drugged and that's it. And Brooklyn them are just gonna be like, yeah, I believe you and not like at least say, well, we want this proof. Because it also would be
Yeah.
different if it was proven that she was drugged and we didn't have anybody else to blame.
Right. So that's the whole thing where I'm feeling she wasn't even actually drugged because
Mm,
there's a lack of concern over the fact that she was drugged and whatever consequences. She kept saying, I've never felt like this before. This is really strange. So then why aren't you concerned enough to make sure that you don't have any lasting effects
true.
of this drugging? You
Yeah,
know,
it's
that
tough.
would weird me out. I wouldn't want to feel comfortable just chilling at home after being drugged like that.
Yeah, it's tough to like know if this was like a oversight of the show or if this
Uh-huh.
is like a character thing. But yeah, I agree. That was
Hmm.
weird. But for me, I mean, Brooklyn also then goes to like Bobby's with Ronnie afterwards and like talks with her and like tells Gio this if it's a fact. She kind of looked uncomfortable, but she definitely like looked like it was a fact that this happened. And
Hmm.
then she goes to Brooklyn's house, or she goes to Lulu's house. You should actually be ashamed that Lulu has to put your grandmother up.
Right. Like there's no offering of, hey, grandma, let me put you up in another. I know the Metro Court isn't the only hotel in town.
No, because you
So
remember when
yeah,
Carly, because we'll come back to this, when Carly kicked Lethal out because Lulu asked her to,
yeah,
she put Liesel up in a suite at a nice hotel across town. So there is
right.
another hotel. I think that Tracy, wants to be around who she considers family. She's been so used to like living with family and actually having a bunch of kids around or whatever. I think that she wanted that again. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's a shame, and Brooklyn should know that it's a shame that Lulu, of all people, had to put your grandmother up.
Right. On a side note, Ronnie was at the cafe and I think she was putting what Tabasco sauce in her drink. I'm like, what are you doing? It was a ketchup or Tabasco. I'm assuming it was Tabasco. I'm assuming she was drinking some sort of Bloody Mary cocktail because I was like, what is she?
I think it's like something like one of those things that you put in your drink to help sober you up. So
Oh,
now,
okay.
I
So,
mean, maybe because I don't. We've not heard that Bobby sells alcohol. I don't think it does. And so I think it's like
oh,
one of those things that you put in your drink to like help knock out,
okay, because that wasn't
yeah,
clear.
sober
I
you
was
up.
just like, he was putting some red stuff the liquid and just chugging it down. I was like, that first of all, that looks gross. Okay. So
Hmm.
you're just gonna go ahead and continue drinking after you
Nah, I
got
think it.
poisoned.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
but it also feels like a hangover cure. Again, not a cure
Right.
of
All
if you
right.
were drugged.
And to go
Um,
back to your point about it's hard to understand if this was a character thing or a show thing. We're going to probably going to talk about it more, but there have been several instances where there have been mistakes made in the show that a lot of people question that we think it's probably
hmm
writer's error versus anything. And there's definitely been some editing issues on the show. So this week, even though the performances were amazing, there was some
hmm
serious errors happening here that we're all
Yeah,
like,
the
what?
kind of was like,
What?
oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
Um, but yeah, so I would say, okay, so here's my issue. I feel like Brooklyn is kind of flailing
Hmm.
and they're doing like some, like really, they've been doing good character work, but they're right now doing a lot of plot work. And sometimes they've sacrificed characters for plot. And right
Hmm.
now, Brooklyn is being sacrificed for plot.
Oh
To
yeah.
me, two things. Well, one big thing. Brooklyn has always been a family person. Right or wrong,
Hmm.
Brooklyn rides with the cues.
Hmm.
She might pull you to the side afterwards, like, yo, what was
What's going on?
this? But she publicly rides with the cues. So at the very least, with Tracy, like I said, it should have been a matter of tempers are high. We don't know what happened. Grandmother,
Hmm.
I'm gonna take you to a hotel to get checked in. Um, or Lulu's or wherever you're going. Ronnie, we're gonna take you to the hospital to get a drug panel and make sure you're okay before we make any big decisions. Like Brooklyn kind of sitting there and like putting down her grandmother was like wild to me. And like continuing to do it was wild to me. The other thing is, I don't know if they don't want Chase and Brooklyn to have drama or what's happening there. Brooklyn should be squarely on the side of Michael. I understand they're probably trying to
100%.
do this like, oh, she's a mom, and so she understands Willow. No, 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 no. Give us the drama of Brooklyn versus Chase. Like Brooklyn, excuse me, Michael has sided with Brooklyn over and over. If you remember, Michael didn't even know what was going on between Dante and Brooklyn when Dante was going at her. Michael said, I don't care what's going on. Stop talking to her like that.
Mhm.
So to me, having Brooklyn not squarely on Michael's side and being a confidant, like now he's pulling out the Daisy thing. Brooklyn should have already known that.
Mhm.
Brooklyn should be asking Chase, like, why are you trying to get Michael locked up? This should be a thing. Because the other thing is, Quartermaines will go behind your back with business, but even if she thought Michael did shoot Drew, she would still cover for him. That's
Mhm.
how Quartermaines behave. So I don't know. I know it's supposed to be like a plot thing or whatever, but they need to get that in order to get Brooklyn back in character because they've really declawed her, and it's not been good to watch because we know Amanda is so talented and can deliver on better material.
And even on a family, forget the family level, just as a wife, to see your husband chasing after some woman and trying to prove her innocent, not
Come
just
on.
any woman, but an ex, and just doing everything and just presuming her innocence and doing everything, even willing to put his job at risk for
Yep.
a woman that's not you. I didn't think that's something that Brooklyn would do. Um, you know. So yeah, there's
Yep.
like three ways that they have basically declawed Brooklyn. Um, and it could be a number of reasons. Like you said, you want to be a good wife. Could be also that she's still just constantly thinking about Geo and the fact that she lost her mom and she doesn't have
Hmm.
a lot of stuff. But we need to have Brooklyn come back because this is ridiculous. What Chase is doing is ridiculously and mad disrespectful
Hmm.
to his wife and to the family of the Quartermaines.
To the family that he is in now. Yep.
And now, yeah.
But as you said before, we had this Lois and Brooklyn scene. Lois was trying to clean everything up after the fact. So she
Hmm.
met with Gio and talked to him about music and his mom and all of that. Um, you know, with Sunny's help. And then Brooklyn comes over and they talk, and she basically tells Brooklyn that she's about to go on tour with Blaze if Brooklyn like approves it. And Brooklyn says yes.
And Brooklyn not only says yes, she's sad because even though she's mad at mom, she loves her mom and needs her mom every day. That's when I cried. But then it
Yeah,
started thinking, I was like,
yeah,
oh my God, I do. You're right. I need my mama. But anyway,
yeah,
so it
yeah.
really just kind of broke me when she did that. And so, yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, performance, performance, performance. Those two, I'm gonna miss them.
Hmm.
Um, but somebody gave a recap and they're like, boohoo cries and we'll be back. Because they're like, yeah, she's coming back. She's just going away for now.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
they're so good because I still do not forgive what Lois did.
Mhm.
Um, I still think um what Lois did was out of pocket. And actually, we could like I think that um the way that Brooklyn's pregnancy and like choice to have an adoption was treated by the show and by the audience actually opened the door for the way that it was deemed appropriate for Jordan to
Mhm.
be talking about Portia.
Mm.
Because Portia, I want you back to the front. I want Portia, I want you and Jordan to the front.
Mhm.
Come on, bring it in. So they're at the tea party,
Ah.
and Jordan is I loved that Ronnie was marveling at how beautiful Jordan was because
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
Stunning.
you for like understanding that. Thank you for naming that because why is this woman such a loser right now? The behavior from that we saw from Jordan this week was
Whew.
loser behavior. Why are you
100%.
clocking what Portia's eating, what she's doing? The other thing is, and this is, we know if you pregnant after 35, it's called a geriatric pregnancy, right? So
Right.
if I'm in a place with Portia and I see that she doesn't feel well, I'm gonna be like, girl, you got the flu? My first thought is not gonna even be, are you pregnant? Right? That's not what I would think. I would,
I I just so it's there's so many instances where I'm seeing older women getting pregnant.
well,
Like
true,
it's
and I love
so
it for them.
yeah, so it's not like out of the realm of impossibility.
No,
But
no,
for
no, no.
me, it's just like I'm of the mindset of whatever's going on with that person personally is none of my business. And she's choosing not to say anything is doubly none of my business.
Right.
But yeah,
But I'm saying just like the assumption that because she's not feeling well that she's pregnant
yeah,
was wild.
it is wild.
And and then like cornering her about it.
Hey,
Girl,
and
what?
then demanding, like, have you told Curtis? Like, girl,
And Portia told her,
hell
no,
no.
like I'm not pregnant, whatever. And then when Portia walked out, it was like my own damn business. I got my life. I cackled. I did one of these.
Yes.
Like I was so happy because Jordan, this is loser behavior. And
And
then
it's
for
even
her to turn around and call Anna and go to the bar to discuss another woman's uterus, why are you pulling Anna into your loser behavior as well? That was nuts to me. First of all, you just saw her talking to another doctor. Get out of her business. Women all the time don't tell their husbands, whatever, baby daddies right away that they're pregnant. Sometimes women need to like absorb the information, decide what they're gonna do, check their own health again. And I'm only saying this because I have like a beloved person in my life that's like pregnant and like a little bit older. And so a lot of this stuff was like she only told a couple people and she did all of these tests and all these things and we're over the moon and I cannot wait for my new little niece or nephew, but she knew she had to wait and do a bunch of things before she said anything because anything could
yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Like
So
if
you don't know anything about what she wants to do, and you also don't know if she's going to use her legal right to make her own healthcare decisions while you all up in her business. That was wild to me. And then to go, and why would anybody tell anybody anything if she's as early as she would appear? Because Portia looks flat as the board with every, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And then you went to Anna and told her business. You told the business of another woman being pregnant before that woman got an opportunity to do it
it's
or
wild.
knew what she was doing with her baby. And then Anna has the audacity to ask, do you think she's going to keep it? Anna, are you trying to be a loser by association? What are we doing here?
Oh yeah, she's definitely trying to be a loser by association to engage in that conversation and not tell Jordan, I don't think this is something we should be discussing.
Hey, Jordan, maybe you should get out of that woman's uterus and
Right.
mind your own business.
Right.
I think
Maybe
she's
you should
lying to
stop.
Curtis.
Maybe you should stop obsessing over somebody else's relationship and figure yourself out. Like, why are you still working for what's his name?
Right.
All kinds of stuff could be happening in this conversation outside of Portia.
You literally are so busy up in Portia's uterus that you haven't done anything to catch Sidwell, and he out here evil and evil villaining it up. Now I've enjoyed
Right.
everything Sidwell's done
Yes, a
lately,
great. He's doing awesome. But
but
you had quit your job to work for this man. You have done nothing but be all up in Curtis's world.
girl, get it together. This is a mess. I was floored. And again,
Mhm.
the fact that, again, I believed that Brooklyn's right to like do whatever she wanted to with her pregnancy was her right. And the
Mhm.
way it was talked about was like a real problem. It was very men's rights in the way they were talking about it on the show. And I think that opened up the door for us to believe that it was okay to display the loser behavior that we saw from our girl Jordan. Beautiful
Mhm.
Jordan. Beautiful, beautiful Jordan. Hurt me the most. Acting like a loser.
She can get. She can pull any man. Here she is running after Curtis of all people. Mm-mm.
We could have Jordan and Dark Michael. Like, we
Oh,
literally can
what?
have anything. The possibilities are endless for Jordan. And we got
Endless.
her in an endless loop with between Portia and Curtis. And
Ridiculous.
and one thing about Portia, she gonna have her mama's baby daddy, maybe. That's one thing about
One thing is true about Portia. She gonna get pregnant while having an affair.
one thing she do. Like
Which,
Portia, girl, what's going on? But we do have her like being mad, and like telling Isaiah. I loved her telling Isaiah, and Curtis told Jordan about our divorce, and he was like, "Yeah, kind of like you told me." He said, "That ain't the point." And you know what? I'm a hypocrite. I support Portia's rights and wrongs. That she is right. That ain't the point. So they're gonna go away together. She said that she's gonna talk with him. So I don't know if that means she's gonna tell him about the pregnancy because honestly, like he's the one who has the least amount to like be mad about or whatever. Like you can be honest with him and tell him and let him know. So we'll see what she does there. But that's a mess.
hot mess.
We also have Trina, baby girl. We gotta get our baby girl story because this. Sitting with Jocelyn discussing your parents' divorce? What? That's the
Yeah,
story? No, I don't
that's all
like
she.
it.
That's all she got. She's at least talking to her best friend, and then not Emma, who's now her best friend or not best friend. Best friend. Well, I don't
I don't know.
know,
I don't know. But then she like runs up on Jordan and is like, listen, you need to move around because my parents can have a chance if you're not all up in the business. I need you, girl, where is the art gallery? Get our girl something to do. Baby, this is not it.
but
This ain't it. It's not it. And then we have Kai and Curtis share a scene. So Curtis tells Kai about their divorce and like wants to look out for Trina. Kai lets it slip that he knows that Drew ain't right. So I thought that was interesting. Um, and I just think it's very silly that Kai and Trina have not told Curtis and Portia about the blackmail material. Who do you like? What do you think is gonna happen? Who are they gonna tell? What they gonna tell? What they gonna do? It's actually better for them to know.
oh yeah. So then they don't, do something crazy, get
Yeah,
themselves in more trouble. They should know that, and then not be paranoid about Drew anymore,
right.
at the very least.
Because they're only
Yeah,
half paranoid. Like it's
yeah,
like they kind of were like, yeah, it's over. We can put it to rest, but it's like not to rest. So it is not serving any real storyline purpose because it's only partially there.
right.
Okay. I do hope we get a scene with this is the Black Hospital Roundup. I do hope we get a scene with Stella and Tracy, and Stella believes Tracy. I really enjoy their friendship, and I hope that she still has her.
Oh yeah, agreed.
I actually hope Stella is the one who figures out that Martin is on some mess.
Ooh, that would be good because right now Martin worships Stella. And
Yeah,
so if Stella just curses him out, all of a sudden he might actually get his act together, you know.
this
Because
fool.
she'd be like, how you what are you doing?
Mm,
So
mm,
yeah.
mm. Um, so let's talk about Willow and everything that surrounds that. So
Willow.
Willow and Nina are in court, um, and Willow does not know that Nina took this plea deal. which only makes sense. The video evidence is there. There's no reason for Nina to like continue to have this story that really doesn't have much to do with Willow. Willow
Hmm.
would still be in the same predicament whether Nina recanted the story or not.
Hmm.
That's just that is what it is. But there is, they don't give Willow bail. Willow has to go to Pentonville. I was like, oh, I
That
wonder if she's
was
gonna get nails. So
that was wild. I loved it.
very wild. And then when Nina is there, I love that AI Nathan don't care nothing about Willow. AI Nathan said, "We don't even know her. Let's move on. Let's move on." Um,
Let's figure this out.
and and I also really love because I had almost forgotten that Cynthia Watros, her Nina never had scenes with Nathan because it was still
Right.
Michelle when Nathan fake died.
Die. Yeah.
And so the relationship between them is so seamless. I mean, you can see the joy in Nina of having her brother back. So that's real skill
Hmm.
coming from Cynthia. Um, but yeah, so they make her like read the statement in court. I was like, this is so petty. And Drew yells out, Nina, you bitch.
That was my hot take. I was like, what court in the world, one, would allow some man to yell at a woman, you bitch, and
That
not
was
be put into
nuts.
not be put in contempt of court. Then you have a congressman yelling out, you bitch. Where's the media? Because the media would be all
Where's
up on that behavior.
anything?
And I'm just like, he just gets away with yelling, calling out, doing
All kind of names.
all kinds of behavior inappropriate in a congressman. In the middle of court. That was wild.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay. Um, and yeah, so Nina has a year probation and a fine. I do wonder if the year probation is going to come back in another like setting where something happens or whatever, but she has a fine. Willow doesn't want to speak to her. She's very mad.
Shocking.
Oh, and right. I mean, constantly mad at her. When were you speaking to her? And she goes to Pentonville. Drew decides Drew's very busy. Um, he goes to Alexis and is basically like, if you take Willow's case, then you can see Scout.
First of all, Alexis should have, God, somebody should have been recording that conversation because his whole reasoning of having the restraining orders to keep Scout safe. But here he
Hmm.
is willing to put his daughter in danger for his
Right.
his girlfriend because they didn't get married.
Hmm.
So man, if I was Alexis, I would have been like or secretly recording that conversation. But yeah, he's just very. mm, People are like he can get no lower, but yeah, he can apparently. The writers are very creative in figuring out how to make Drew worse than the worst. Uh, so, and I was, actually disappointed in Alexis for accepting it. I can understand a little bit because she's like, I need to be in Scout's life to kind of counteract whatever Drew's doing. But it's reprehensible that she did.
Oh,
So
see, I was really more mad about that, like Danny not being able to see him
oh yeah, that's what I was like. Why would she accept that if,
for her.
throwing Danny on the bus? Yeah. I was
I,
like,
I really feel and felt like, um, to your point, I just need to understand what's happening with Drew. I don't need him
mhm,
to be a good guy. I don't need, but when I think about characters who have like taken this kind of heel turn, even like villains have a grounding force. You have
mhm,
something that makes you like something that we can either you are fully evil and like you can't stay here, or you have a grounding force. And usually that grounding force is your kids.
Hmm.
So I think about like if anybody's a Days watcher, I think about like EJ Demira. A mess, the Demiras are a mess. End of the day, they still love their kids. That's like a thing that you can still hold on to and point to. Um, I think about just
Valentin,
anybody. I think about like Adam Chandler, a
Valentin,
mess, Valentine, any of these people who love their
hot
children.
mess, and
So
will sacrifice for
Drew,
them.
it will sacrifice for them. Drew is purposefully being evil and gatekeeping like love from his daughter. And then I just, I get it. I know that this is no longer the Drew that we used to know. But for him to like be talking about Danny like, oh, that hitman son, and acting as if he's never cared for Danny, you raised Danny. You loved
Hmm.
Danny. You thought Danny was your son. And
Hmm.
then when you found out he wasn't, you still were in his life and you were still in Jake's life. So now all of a sudden, this is somebody else's son who you don't care about, and you don't want your daughter to be in relationship with, and you keep throwing around Sam's name like she was nothing and nobody to you. I don't understand what's going on. I don't have to understand everything. I don't have to like know the direction or the complete direction of a story, but I would like to know what we're doing with this character because he cannot continue to go on like this.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like you said, these other major villains, they do have some sort of limit to their villainy. Like
Hmm.
you would rarely see them yell at children and, and threaten to throw them in jail.
Come on.
They'll definitely come for their enemies, but kids that have nothing to do with this, that's crazy. Um, so yeah, I'm still holding on to the fact that Drew is currently being blackmailed by Sidwell, and I am looking forward to seeing what Sidwell does with it. So, yes, I am shocked and appalled at Drew's behavior, but I have hope in Sidwell and his comeuppance from that. So, it's like
Right.
I have something to look forward to.
Hmm.
So, and it's going to be sweet. I love it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was just something that happened to me when
Uh-huh.
he was like, not my kid about
Right. I think,
Danny. Like,
yes.
what?
And then somebody on on X posted that video, him saying that, and then posting the video of when Jason, way back in the day, where Jason, Sam, and him tells Danny that Jason is his actual father, and how hurt
Um,
Billy Miller was at that conversation, and just juxtaposing those two things. And you're like, okay, yeah, whatever. So it was quite the contrast that that new Drew is putting up for himself. Like he's forgetting who he was back in the day and who he cared about, and he's just
right.
throwing it all away for Willow of all people.
Well, speaking of people throwing it away for Willow, let's talk about Chase. Um, so Chase has already been doing too much, and I want somebody to like really, and I think that this is another thing that Brooklyn should be bringing into the mix, which
Hmm.
is the last time you went this hard for a Westbourne, you almost lost your badge for Nell. This is the
Hmm.
same behavior. And
Hmm.
the fact that he cornered Michael in in like the steam room to like yell at him and essentially be like, yeah, you should just turn yourself in. Like it's I know it's not her, it's you. What?
Automatically, automatically. It's
That
crazy.
was wild. I I just and so we have that. Then we have the other like I want to get into that. Um, and then I want to like also talk about Dante and like his conversation with Michael. So do you have anything else about Chase? I just was disgusted, I think, I'm mad at him. I want Brooklyn to run up on him and snap on him. And yeah, I think Jason's an idiot right now.
Yeah, do have to give a shout out to the actors because everybody enjoyed the scene of them in their towels and the song. They were like, yes. There was some that were like, yeah, Chase and Michael had a conversation. I can't remember what it was, but it was awesome. See them in their towels.
I was, yeah, I was too disgusted to like pay attention. Um,
And we were too fascinated to pay attention to the conversation.
and then so this is he also told Dante, but this is the second person that Michael
Mhm.
specifically told in law enforcement about the thing with Daisy.
Yeah.
And Chase essentially didn't believe it, and immediately ran to Willow and was like, "I'm here. I'm gonna help, and I'm gonna try to prove you innocent on my days off."
Why can't Chase remember that he saw Willow sneak into the mansion? He can't remember that. That's crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because my thought is that I believe Michael when he said he didn't shoot Drew.
Mm,
Uh, my thought is that Michael saw Willow there
mm,
and wasn't going to say anything until the the finger started getting pointed at him. Because even when he planted the gun, he had no way of knowing that Willow didn't have an alibi.
mm,
So, and I don't know, maybe Willow didn't shoot Drew, but I think that Willow was there in the same way that Michael was there.
mm. And a lot of
That's what I.
people, there's a lot of conversation last week about, you were like, there was no point in having, oh no, it was um, um, Port Misery who said there was no point in talking about the ringtone that Trina and Kai heard. It was
Mhm.
Scout's ringtone. And I was just thinking maybe Scout wasn't necessarily, maybe Drew wasn't the only one that had the ringtone. I'm thinking maybe it was Willow's phone. I don't know. But anyway, it's still curious of why that ringtone was brought up in the conversation between Kai and Trina, and if
Several
it has,
times.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it has something to do with finding out who the real killer was. So,
Yeah,
um,
I mean, I think if they make it so that it's Willow,
mhm.
Willow would have had a mental break when it happened,
Oh
and
yeah,
then would have snapped out of it when she heard the ringtone.
yeah, that's what we
Um,
were talking about last week. And then I came up with the idea of that when she hears the ringtone again, she starts to remember
oh,
everything. I
that
forgot.
would be
Yeah.
interesting. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like whoever it is has to crack Drew's face. Like it
Mhm.
has to be somebody that he's like shocked at. There is no shock value if it's Michael. There's no shock value. I don't want to get dark. I know people are like, what if it's Danny? That's too dark for me. I don't really want to see that.
Mhm.
Um, I think it needs to be somebody who makes Drew realize like, I'm a terrible person and anybody could have done this to me. So there's that. We also have the conversation between Michael and Dante. So Dante comes in,
Oh.
puts his badge down, and is
Mhm.
like, Convince me it's not you." And I feel like the conversation they had was like a long time coming. Um,
Mhm.
Dante was like, "You need to turn yourself in," and Michael was like, "Why would I ever take your advice?" And Dante was like, "I will always feel bad about what happened before." And Michael was like, he shouldn't have brought it up. No, Michael should have brought it up.
Mhm.
I also think there's something really interesting to me about Dante now saying that Michael, well, one, he's like acknowledging Dark Michael, and he's saying that maybe Michael is lying about or set Willow up for the Daisy thing. But it's like, what would be the point of that?
Hmm. Yeah, I think because the Daisy thing was a question. Did Michael tell Dante about the Daisy thing before or after Drew's shooting? I don't
Before,
remember. Yeah, so for Dante to accuse him of making up the Daisy thing is foul because it happened before the shooting. So Michael had no reason to frame Willow of messing with Daisy at the time. And
right?
so it was like, why would you think that he's, framing Willow now, just to point guilt her way in terms of the shooting? I think he should, yeah. I'm disappointed that he doesn't automatically believe Michael either. And not only just because Michael is innocent, but just because knowing what you did to him before, you want to be ultra cautious that you're not doing it again. I would want him to be like, I want to acknowledge that you are different now. I do want to acknowledge that you have been hurt by Willow. You have every right to be angry. I just want to make sure that what you're doing isn't going to cause more problems for you in the long run. That's how I would have liked for him to approach it. But he's, copping, cops gonna be cops. That's it's just like weird. Like you just want to suspect everybody. You want to be overly cautious and let people know that you're staying true to the legal code and not automatically assuming Michael is innocent or not automatically assuming Sonny. It's always going to be about Sonny is innocent of crimes. You want to be zealous and all this other stuff, and so I think that's something that Dante has adopted as his posture towards any crime that him that a family member is being accused of. But it's a shame. I think of all people, Michael should be trusted by his word, even if he's acting funky. He has every right to
But
be acting funky.
the thing about it is, here's the thing. So, one, Dante could be trying to prove Willow's innocence despite Michael. You could be trying to see if you could find like video footage of where she would be. You could be
Hmm.
doing any of that despite and like not pointing the finger to Michael. Because we have
Hmm.
seen evidence of Dante not or like having a problem being a cop when it came to Sunny. So why in the
Hmm.
world would you have it? Why wouldn't in the world would you not be facing that same thing when it came to Michael? And telling him to
Hmm.
turn himself in. That's one. Two, I think what would have been more interesting would have been if both Dante and Lulu would have like had a hard time doing their jobs when it came to Michael, because Lulu is ready to throw Michael under the bus all over again, completely two
Yeah.
times, three times, whenever. And
And
so if
mine,
you would have,
yeah, that's what
and
I was
because
gonna point out.
oh, I
I
also
was
don't
well,
understand that. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that was in my hot takes is like the only credit I'm giving Dante in this conversation is at least he's acknowledging how wrong he was. Lulu is just either totally forgot or doesn't care
Doesn't care.
that she's
Yeah.
that she's thrown Michael under the bus multiple times. And she
Hmm.
may have apologized to Carly, but I don't think she's adequately apologized to Michael.
No, because she doesn't care. But
Hmm.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Um, oh, but I was gonna say, I don't like Lante. Let's be really clear. I don't like
Mm.
Lulu. I don't care for Lante, but I understand them to be a couple that should be on the way or whatever they're gonna do with them. So I don't understand the positioning of Lante right now, of like them not going back towards anything romantic, of that like let just do it. You don't have enough couples. I don't understand why the show always does this. This could be a bonding force for the two of them to come back together and talk about how they're having an issue, like actually fully going after Michael based on what has been done before.
Mm.
and like actually having like soft moments with each other to do that. Instead, at least like you said, I mean, Dante is like not like doing in the official capacity, but Lulu is. And
Mhm.
so Dante like then being like, well, Michael, you're different, you're dark, you're whatever. Yeah. Why would he not be different and dark? He was cheated on by his wife with somebody he cared about. He was damn near burnt to death. He almost lost his children. Why would you think he would come back and be light? To the and one of his other kids had to be sent out of the country for whatever reason. Why would he come back and why would you think he wouldn't have some sort of chip on his shoulder? Why is this the first
Hey,
time that we've heard you try to take care of your brother?
well, in his mind, he thought he was taking care of Michael when Michael first got out of jail. Remember, Michael was in Dante's custody.
Oh, I remember.
But in any case, yeah, I like your idea, like having Lante come together. I would have loved it if they came together and was like, let's not let what happened to Michael when he was a teenager happen again. Let's figure out how we can ensure or at least prove that Michael is innocent. Be
Hmm.
like Chase, but in the opposite direction. That's the thing. What I'm not seeing enough of is people root, well, except for his parents, but he's just like trying to go on his own. But I want to see more people doing what Chase is doing for Will, for Michael. It's crazy what Chase is doing for Willow, and I feel like I need that same kind of energy. I mean, I guess Christina is giving it now,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
yeah.
and so like for me, the other piece of it was like Dante or them talking about, and particularly Dante talking about Michael's history of violence. I know that Claudia and all of that is like a signature story from Michael, but
Hmm.
for me, that doesn't even make sense for Dante to be bringing up as Michael's like history of violence. What he
Hmm.
should be bringing up is Michael almost shooting Sonny, because Morgan and Dante had to stop Michael from shooting Sonny after Michael found out about AJ. So it would be like him saying, look, I know how you get when you feel wronged, and Drew has wronged you.
Hmm.
Why would I believe that you would be ready to shoot dad, but you wouldn't be ready to shoot Drew? That to me
Hmm.
makes more sense than this. He has a history of violence. When I hate when they talk about what happened with Claudia as if Michael is like some woman beater. That's not what
Hmm.
happened. It is one of my pet peeves about when the show does that or when other characters do that.
Hmm.
Very annoying. And so, yeah, I mean, how did you feel about Lulu in this conversation that she had with Lucas? So Lulu overhears Michael like going off and saying that if he would have shot Drew, Drew would be dead, and he never wants Will to see the kids again. And Lulu, for whatever reason, thinks that she's gonna like write this in an article over what she overheard in somebody else's house. And she talks to Lucas about it. How did she feel about that conversation with her and Lucas?
I mean, again, her every interaction with Michael to me stems from her need to constantly apologize to him, and she doesn't do that. And
Mm,
again, that as far as Michael's concerned. And now I'm seeing more and more how people hate when she gets on this, crusade, and because she feels she has to out everybody who she feels does wrong. It's very
hmm
hypocritical and self-righteous, and I don't like it. And yeah, she overheard a private conversation that she heard no context about, and she's willing to
hmm
write a whole article about it. I'm glad
Of
Lucas was
him
there.
basically saying he didn't do it.
Right. But if I did, yeah, he has every right to be mad and say, if I did, I probably would have killed him dead.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, because he has, the way that Drew has been acting towards everybody, multiple people think that's it. I think Carly said the same thing. If it was me,
yeah,
he would have been gone.
yeah.
She's not writing a whole article about Carly, though, is she?
Yeah. But I mean, this is also how many times has she asked Carly or somebody else to like go above and beyond for her kids? But she is
Mhm.
willing and ready and able. Like this whole like, well, I'm a reporter, I have to get to the truth. You don't have to write this story. Reporters recuse themselves from stories all the time. You choose to write these stories over and over and over again. And so
Mhm.
we have like we have this thing with Nathan. She finally meets up with Nathan, and it's not remember like she's not remembering me, or maybe not really, that like me and Maxie fell out over Nathan dying
Mhm.
because I wrote something that I did not have to write.
Mhm.
So I don't know. How did you feel about AI Nathan and Lulu?
I thought that it was interesting to bring up the fact that Lulu understands what Nathan is going through.
Yeah.
But I also do think you're right. She should, again, feel, contrite or sorrow or misgivings. The fact that the role that she played and the fact that Nathan was shot in the first place. She has not acknowledged that at all. I'm just like, she just like, she has no self-awareness of how what she does just really impacts people's life. And she is not going to learn. It's crazy. She didn't learn from what she did with Gio. She's not going to learn now.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but it's funny. People were almost shipping them together because they have good chemistry. I was
Whatever.
like, that would be wild. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I don't, whatever. I don't know about that. Um, like, I guess. I want to know what's going on with Nathan, because so we have this scene with Nathan and Anna last week, but then we have
uh-huh.
this scene with Nathan and Pikeman this week.
I like that. I like that Nathan was just like, I don't care if you threaten me.
But
I
to
loved it.
me, it doesn't make sense, because if you lost that many years of your life, you
Hmm.
would want to know. And like you're getting threatened because you have no urgency around finding out what happened.
Yeah.
You're like
I mean,
watching it and you're like, yeah, I don't know. Not like, well, can you find out more? Can you track more? Do you know what happened beforehand? If you weren't shady, those are the kind of questions that you would ask. You're not just like
yeah.
casual about losing this amount of time. Just like, yeah, bro, I
Yeah.
don't know.
But I mean, yeah, he should be more proactive in trying to figure that out. But at the same time, I just happy that he recognized that Brennan isn't somebody he should be trusting at the moment. I think those kind of questions he should, I would have liked to have seen him bring up with Anna because he does trust Anna, but he also should want to know, like, Anna, I agree. I want to figure out what's happened to me. These questions are coming up in my mind. I don't understand. Would like to know more. He hasn't done that.
Because
Brennan, on
he's
the other hand,
AI, because
ugh,
he's AI Nathan. Like, and so I hear
yeah,
you. I think if
yeah,
Nathan, if he was like decent and not on some shady stuff, I would agree. But
yeah.
the reason he doesn't trust Brennan is because he's on some shady stuff and he knows Brennan's gonna take down the shady stuff.
Oh yeah.
So like it's just he's like a bot that
Mhm.
I'm like, what's happening here? They need to give us a few more answers about him. I know Spinelli is like really nervous about him. I
Mhm.
appreciated Spinelli having that conversation with Jason, and it made me even more annoyed about. Look, I was never a Naxi fan. I've always been a Spixie fan. I get it. I get like the utility and like how important Nathan was to Maxi, but that it just never was my jam. And so for Spinelli and Lulu to be as close as they are, and then for her to be like, "Yeah,
Oh,
Nathan, you the love of Maxi's life," that to me, I was like, I don't know. Okay, girl,
I was thinking this is gonna piss Tracy. I was like, Tracy's not gonna like that.
I wasn't
What
a
Lulu
fan.
did. Yeah.
I wasn't a
It
fan.
did, yeah, it did surprise me that Lulu would automatically just tell him that. Because she didn't want, when she was having feelings with Dante, she didn't want anyone to tell Dante that. And the fact that she's speaking for Maxie now, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see it being different, but I kind of just like, I don't know, like,
Wait, but the temerity one that she's doing it because she doesn't really know how Maxie feels. No one knows how
right,
Maxie feels. So
right,
she's like, I'm just gonna tell you straight out that Maxie's gonna wake up. And
right.
I'm like, sir, woman,
Yeah,
mm,
I didn't really care for it. But I mean, we shall see. I think that Jason gave Sterling some really good advice. I was happy to have a Jason Spinelli scene because we haven't really seen
mhm,
them together. And
right.
so it was nice to have that,
It was funny too. Spinelli trying to hug him, and he's like, dude,
you know. That was funny.
right.
The other another scene that I thought was funny, like circling back to like the Willow stuff. So Christina reaches out to Jacinda and has her um like come and meet her to like whatever, like to talk about Michael. Um they end up in the same place as Drew, and Jacinda holds her own with Drew.
Yep.
She says, you know, you hired me, and asked him if he did it with taxpayer money. She really had Drew on the ropes, but he said that he was gonna um like put the turn the police her direction. Martin looked uncomfortable. Martin looked at him like he was making a real mistake, but it did spook Jacinda. I felt like the way that Drew was talking to Christina was crazy. Drew said something to Christina like, before you start running that mouth of yours. Whoa. Whoa.
You talking crazy to everybody.
That mouth of yours
Everybody.
is crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Um, but Jacinda gets spooked. She goes to see Michael, and we now are about to have a pretty woman story. So Michael is
Mhm.
going to pay her to, you know, work for him. She's going to give some skills, and she's also going to be falling in love with him. I don't hate it. I appreciate Michael also acknowledging that his alibi is terrible.
I mean, I
Like,
think that's like, it's part of the fun of it.
yeah,
That he knows very good and well these alibis aren't.
yeah,
But whatever. He's gonna do
yeah.
it, and that's it. I love it.
I I'm a fan.
Hmm.
I think that they have chemistry. I think they're cute. I think they're funny. I'm looking forward to some hijinks. She got her a kiss and a selfie, and she bounced on him, and I like that.
Hmm.
Um, and then we also then have Alexis go see Willow um at the prison. I thought it was really weird that Willow came out like, is it Scout? Why would Alexis come talking to you about Scout?
I I don't know what to make of Willow and this allowing Drew to be like so heinous when it comes to Scout because she's like, I don't agree with it. She's telling a lot of people who she has arguments with that she doesn't agree with how Drew is treating Scout, but lets him do it. And so it's just weird to me that she allows him to get away with that kind of behavior. Um, but yeah, so she knows that Alexis really cares about Scout, and that's the only reason. But then what? Yeah, it's like, why would Alexis come to you about it, of all people? Why
Right.
would
You're
Alexis come and visit you in prison to talk
about
about?
Scout. What are you talking about? Um, and so when Alexis like tells her like what happened, she's like, I'm gonna be honest with you and let you know that Drew has said this thing. And Willow kind of was like, well, I want you to like defend me because you think I'm innocent, not because of Scout. No, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what she thinks. I think
Right.
that I don't even know necessarily about Willow allowing Drew to be this way about Scout. Actually, like, I don't know because she's just dug in at this point. Even
Oh yeah.
prior to the arrest, when she decided to get back with him, it was all about him being able to give her kids back. That is her only focus. So she can't really speak to him about how he's treating his own kids because she's so busy trying to get her kid. Because I feel like they were broken up when he did this like restraining order thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were. So she really has not had say over this. She has been like in desperate positioning since all of this has been going on. Yeah, it's just they're a mess. They need to figure out how to move this along because there's only so much more that, people that I'm gonna be able to take of this.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then Danny so Alexis and Christina are visiting with Scout. Um the nanny is there being a weirdo. And when Danny and Rocco come in. She texts Drew. We also, the other big thing I think that I forgot to mention is Drew didn't lift the restraining order like he told Alexis.
Mhm.
He told Martin, I'm just not going to enforce it. So if we need to use it again, we can. Okay. So he, Drew goes to the mansion, talks to working class Victoria Lord, aka Ronnie, and is essentially like, if you want to sell this mansion, I want to buy it. Danny and Rocco run up in the house. Danny runs up on Drew and tells him about himself. Drew talking crazy. Laura walks in. This was one of the mix-ups, I think, where Drew said something like, I'll do this and I'll put you in jail like your uncle Lucky. I think he meant your Uncle Nicholas.
Yeah, so there was like several. I mean, the first one happened when Nathan was
Nathan.
talking with Lulu. Yeah, was talking with Lulu and was saying like I hadn't met Charlotte yet, which like, sir, you did meet Charlotte when she first came to town, when Charlotte's mom pretended that you were his you were her dad. So
Hmm.
there's that. Um and then when Danny and Rocco go into the restaurant, it like at first you see Scout running up to Danny and hugging him and Rocco, and then in the next scene, Alexis and Danny were outside. So there was like a cut somewhere, like there was something more happening. We don't see Alexis dragging Danny and Rocco
No, I don't.
outside.
I don't. I think about that less than I think because it was more like the cut scene was like, okay, great, you saw her. Now let's go talk about it, which is like a little bit less egregious than your Uncle
Yeah,
Nicholas,
but
and then like,
for me, it just like there's some editing that I don't like that they're doing. It seems like they're cutting stuff and like there's something else happened. And it's just like it's weird to me. And
mm,
then so there was the Charlotte thing for me, the editing thing, and then now, yeah, what you said, where um Drew is yelling at the kids and saying, I'm gonna throw you in jail just like your dad, Jason, and just like your uncle, Lucky. Because I went immediately to Twitter and was just like, hold up, what did Lucky do to Drew to get him to throw Lucky's name under the bus like that? I was just like, what the hell? And then, some people were trying to postulate with me. And then finally I saw, Tara's tweet saying that it was obvious it had to be a writer's edit or something like that.
or like it was just said wrong, and they
Yeah.
didn't. They keep choosing not to like go back. Because I think
Yeah.
even with the Nathan thing, people were trying to say that maybe it was like he didn't see her as an adult, or he didn't see her since he's been home, as opposed to like hasn't met her. Because I've said this before, Nathan is supposed to be Rocco's godfather.
Hmm.
So, you know, we'll see. It's weird.
Yeah. But yeah,
Well,
those
go ahead. You have something else?
I was just saying, yeah, so those were all the things that I thought were problematic with the editing and the writing this week, that a lot of
Yes.
people were talking about.
Yes. And so last but not least, Carly gives Jack several outs to tell her about Jocelyn, and he does not take any of them. And so she decides, because he did tell her that he went to take Charlotte to see Valentine. So Carly calls Spinelli and is like, I need a new identity. I need to stand up. And we find out that what she used the identity for is to get a Lisa Loeb wig and go to Steinbauer to see Valentine for hijinks to ensue. Um, I like it. I like the two of them scheming together. Valentine makes so Carly basically tells Valentine um that Jocelyn's a WSB agent. She also was like, you did try to kill me. He was like, that was an accident. Like, it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
They did not bring up the studies medication, which I think is important because Valentine did that as well.
Mhm.
Um, but Valentine brings up that Brendan tried to have him killed in front of Charlotte, which I actually don't think that that's true. So they might be, I think they thought it was true and then it wasn't true. So I don't know if they're retconning it back to it being true.
Oh yeah, because
Uh,
well, it wasn't Brennan's decision, it was the rogue agent's decision to do it,
right,
right?
right.
But so I don't know if that was ever um actually clarified or if Brennan doesn't care if Valentine thinks that he did it.
I
I don't
believe
know.
Brennan said that he did not do it, and then
Oh,
unlike Valentin, maybe didn't believe the clarification. I don't know.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, and Valentin also makes Carly see that Jocelyn probably like had something to do with Cyrus's death, whether that was she
yeah,
did it herself or she was there.
yeah.
Um, and they have decided they're going to work together to take Brennan down. How do you feel about a Carly Valentine link up?
I love it because they're my favorite, questionable duo. So I love seeing them work together. So I'm happy about it. I can't wait.
Hmm. Yeah. I would like to see them come together. I would like to see it be messy. I would like to see them work together. I would like to see Valentine get redeemed. I like JPS. I like Valentine. Um, I always love having Cassadines around. Um,
Mhm.
I also think it's funny because like Lulu talks all this stuff about like Michael and like the way he grew up with Sunny, and I'm like, babes, it's Valentine and the Cassadines have had way more influence on Charlotte
Mhm.
than the mob had on Michael because Mike, Sonny, and Jason made sure the mob stayed away from Michael unless he got shot. But but
And kidnapped.
Valentine, right? But Valentine had Charlotte on the run. Charlotte was
Mhm.
essentially an adult. Charlotte is like managing up to you as a mom.
And Victor, brainwashed her.
Yeah,
And Helena, we don't know what Helena's done. I think she's
come on.
still alive.
I hope so.
Um, yeah, that would be, I'm, I would have been way more interested in this story if it was the Cassadines coming back than Faison coming back. But
Mm.
here we are. Yeah, because I want Nicholas out of jail. I want Spencer to be found. I want them back in town. That's just me, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer's a hard one to recast.
Yeah. So,
Like it's a hard role. But
yeah,
they killed him the way they did it for a reason. I'm sure that one day we will see him back.
yeah,
But they gotta clean up that young adult scene and actually have him be like ready to be back before whatever is going on.
yeah. They'll probably Soras him, have
You
him
think
be
so?
older.
You think so?
Well, yeah, because I don't see, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're trying to set Trina up to be ready for Spencer to come back. They're not writing her in a good
Right.
place. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Anywho,
know
well,
either. I would be interested to see because like I actually hate the Jocelyn Emma dynamic. I don't mind them having beef. I don't like what they have beef over. I think it's
yeah,
silly. I think the Cameron part was silly. I think this job thing is silly. You know, Jocelyn said this man sexually harassed her. And Emma's talking about whether or not she was trustworthy or like whether she was like reliable. Like, what are we doing?
yeah, yeah.
They need to be moved on to a different story. Um, and their rivalry really doesn't mean much and is not worth much. And so they need to either do something that's like worth being rivals for or move on.
Hmm.
But Gemma was cute.
Gemma was cute. Um, Shout out to again Laura coming back and reading Drew the Riot Addict, Riot
Hmm.
Riot Act with her eyebrow.
Absolutely.
Um, I keep focusing on the eyebrow because I just love it. I can't do it with my eyebrow, even though my eyebrow is shaped nice. I can't move it up and down the way that Laura does. She's angry. So I love it. It's my favorite thing about Jeannie Praxis. The fact that she can go from being sweet grandma to angry grandma, crying grandma to angry to sweet grandma. She's great.
Hmm.
I love her having her on screen. So, and she came back at a good time, catching Drew, yelling at the kids, and being just rude. So now, I mean, she always didn't like Drew, but now she's really going to hate him. And so,
Well,
watch out, Drew. Ain't nobody in town your friend. Nobody.
and it shouldn't be. Do you have any hot takes?
Yeah, let's see. I wrote on Monday, Willow cried and I cackled. I talked about the judge letting this whole behavior of the congressman happening. Uh, Talked about Ronnie drugging herself. I love the fact that Charlotte was talking smack to Tracy and Tracy was out. She was mad disrespectful and I loved it. Um, I also talked
Hmm.
about Carly acting like Steinmauer was in America talking about prisoners' rights. My client
That
has
was
the
so
right to talk
bizarre.
to me. Like, you ain't in America, girl. Germans don't
This is
care.
like a jail for international terrorists. Like, what are we talking about?
That was
Yeah, that
funny.
was
I wrote, is Gio going to flash that cutie patootie smile on everyone but his parents? Like,
yes.
like I mean, he's like forgiving everybody except for his parents, which is like crazy to me. Um, yeah, those were my hot takes.
I had a couple from the Tea Party. I thought Ronnie was really funny. I really freaking hate the Aztec princess thing that they did for Felicia. Like, whatever. But I did think it was funny the way Ronnie had to curtsy to her. Um, I loved when she was talking to Lucy, and Lucy was like, "Yeah, I lived here when I was married to Alan. I had this red wedding dress." And Ronnie was like, "Red wedding dress, confident." I appreciated that. I thought that was really funny. And then I absolutely loved when Drew came by and she was like, "I actually have a great relationship with God, thank you." Like as if he was like some sort of like, I'm like, oh my
Yes.
God. Well, get away, Drew. You look like a traveling Bible salesman. Nobody wants it. Um,
Ah.
And then I actually really hate when people keep talking about Willow loving Wiley and Amelia. They're like Willow loves her kids. Willow loves her kids. She's a great mom. Those two things can be very, very different. Willow is not a great mom. Willow has put Drew over her children time and time again. She has not been able to make good decisions for herself or her children while she's in a relationship with him. That is not a good mom.
Yeah.
It don't matter whether she cares about her kids or not. Willow, that's why I actually hate the plot of that judge getting paid off because everything that judge said to her was true as to like why them kids shouldn't be with her. The only real difference is that maybe she should have gotten some supervised visitation, but she has done nothing but like be a destabilizing force to her children. And loving your kids is not enough to make you a good mom. Sorry.
Just like Nina.
Yeah.
Ah.
All right. I have next week previews. Okay, Monday. Lulu gets upsetting news. Nathan makes a promise. Sidwell approaches Sunny. Portia and Trina have a heart to heart. Gio confides in Emma.
Mm.
Tuesday, Jason confronts Carly. I hope she's wearing at least a lobe wig when it does what happens. Um, Anna gets answers. Nina plays dirty. Curtis is left reeling. Ned tries to reason with Tracy. Portia reaches out to Ava. Wednesday, Ronnie's announcement shocks the Quartermains. Britt and Elizabeth face off. Curtis has a tense encounter with Isaiah. Lulu and Dante clash. Nathan issues a warning. Thursday, Jason surprises Britt. Tracy drowns her sorrows. Cody seeks legal advice. Sunny voices his regrets. Justine grills Jordan. And
Interesting.
Friday, Justine is the DA, horny
Oh,
DA.
horny day. Okay.
Yeah. Friday, Tracy and Lucy reminisce about Alan. Brennan makes a proposition. Drew suffers a setback. Britt gets new marching orders. And Laura is dismayed.
Ooh.
Well, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend about Sunday Shift. Hype us up if you're on YouTube. You can also um, buy us a coffee or you can get merch if you would so choose. I also think there's an event in Chicago when I'm going to be in Wisconsin for the holidays. So I might slide down there. Let me know if y'all want me to go and to like do some live stuff. It's Rory and Chris McKenna. So
Ooh.
anyway, we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.